This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it's time for Avoid the Maze. And I really believe that you are going to enjoy my guest today. He's unlike so many others that we've had on our show, and that's a good thing. Edward Strum is with us today, and Edward, you seem to have your fingers in so many different areas, and yet it seems like you can juggle them and find your passion and achievements in all of them. So tell me about who you are and how you got to being Edward today.
You know, I want to start. I like the title of this show, Avoid the Maze. And I recorded a few. So for people who don't know, I'm, I guess, starting to blow up on social media. I was one of the early viral video producers on YouTube, and I made this mistake in my early 20s when I was having these viral videos, and I didn't stick with YouTube. A lot of my friends wanted to get into tech, so I went from YouTube to tech, and I did okay in tech, and I continue to do okay in tech. And in fact, the company that we have, this voice company, we're putting AI into it, and it could be really viral, like one of the fastest growing companies of all time if we do it right. But up until, I mean, that's hoping for the best case scenario in the future. And I think about, like, I've been thinking a lot lately about, like, is there a way to guarantee success? And I think that there is, and I think that that way actually requires avoiding the maze. And that's why I think it's a cool title for the show. I mean, I can even imagine a good TikTok on this. Yeah. So
when I named the podcast that, I wasn't even truly talking about avoiding. What my thought was is you're going through this maze and all of a sudden you're stuck. And, you know, you can't go straight because there's a wall in front of you. And you came from the right and you think you're going to get lost going back that way, but you have a choice: go left, right, or maybe turn around and see if there's an exit that way. It's okay to get stuck as long as we don't stay there.
yeah,
It's, you know, becoming mindful and saying, okay, I'm going to try this. And even if it's not the best solution, you've created a solution.
that's true. But I look at so when I hear avoid the maze, I imagine like a rat or a mouse in a maze, like, and I'm kind of like imagine like the professional rat race. For some reason, that's the image that gets conjured in my mind when I hear avoid the maze. I imagine a professional rat race, and I particularly imagine a lot of people doing what they don't want to do for their jobs and for money. And what I realized lately is there actually is a way to guarantee success in life. And it sounds so. I was talking about this recently. There is, and this is something that I wish I knew in the early days of YouTube. Because if I knew this when I was making these viral videos, I actually just would have made like a daily vlog. I would have made a video blog series every day, and I would have been immensely successful doing that. I'd be famous now. And now I'm actually popping off on TikTok and on Instagram and slowly starting to get followers on YouTube. YouTube takes a long time. The algorithm works like that.
Right.
And um and it's because now I know what I didn't know now. And so what I didn't know and what I didn't understand is there is this method. It's called the Content Inc. method. There's like several books written about it. It's amazing, by this guy Joe Pulizzi, I think that's his name. And it basically says you have four variables. You have your niche, you have what's the spin on the niche, and then you have the platform and the content type on the platform. So I think you could do like maybe the platform is Instagram and the content type is Reels, short form mobile video, and maybe your niche is sweatshirts, and your spin on them is like sweatshirts as seen through the eyes of somebody from Northern Europe. And that's the spin. And it sounds crazy, but if you so you have to find like what you genuinely like, and everybody has their own spin. Everybody's different. They all have their own spin. And then they pick a platform, and all you got to do is just stick with it day after day for like a minimum of 2 years. Sometimes it takes longer, and you are guaranteed to be successful. And because you are picking something that you inherently enjoy talking about, that you inherently enjoy, you are avoiding the maze. The maze means doing something that you don't like doing, in my opinion. And avoiding the maze is doing something that you do like doing and having a positive material impact on your life. And so, and this is something that I've seen work, and I've seen work with other people, and it's working now with myself. And that's why I think it's such a cool title for the show. Like, it's a very inspiring title.
Well, I appreciate that. When I was thinking about, so New Cleveland Radio has numerous podcasts that I produce. Avoid the Maze happens to be my personal podcast. And when I decided to start it, I started thinking about this is where I've wanted to be in a very long time. And when I say long time, when I was graduating high school, I wanted to go into communications and broadcasting of some sort. And my parents looked at me and said, women are not going to make it. Look who's on TV right now. This was 1968. And it was like, well, I could be the first. And my parents just said, go to college, get your teaching degree, get married, you'll be just fine. So I got my associates in communications. And at that point, my parents said, we're not paying any more for college. You've just wasted our dime. But what I did from that point forward, every time I found something that I could really relate to, I was either writing about it or doing a talk on it, even just for small groups, because that's what energized me. My jobs along the way, most of them did not. But I knew that, oh, on Saturday afternoon, I'm going to be speaking at the public library. What so many of us don't understand is that you can work towards your success while maybe you're still putting food on the table.
Yeah, people don't understand that, and even if they believed it, they don't know how.
Right.
And actually, it's stunningly easy how, because people think they need to have like a game plan of how they're going to make money. And if you're going with the content model, you don't even need to have that, because when you get a big enough audience, your audience will tell you how you can make money. And
Exactly.
that's literally what I'm learning firsthand. I started I have a TikTok that has 32,000 followers. It's my niche is I talk about technology and business from the lens of a serial founder and entrepreneur, and as a growth marketer, someone I'm probably one of the best marketers in the world, I think. And as a New Yorker, that's a bunch of different spins, but it's mostly the founder and growth marketer part. And then my platform is TikTok, but now it's actually everything else, because I have like an exploit, I have a hack, I have a cheat. It's not like against the terms of service or anything, but it is like almost too good to be true. And my spin is short form mobile video. And so whenever I make a video on TikTok, it comes out everywhere else. It comes out without the watermark on Instagram Reels, on YouTube Shorts, on Facebook Reels, on Twitter, on Pinterest, on LinkedIn. I use a tool, reusevideo.com, for that. If anyone uses TikTok, it's an amazing tool, reusevideo.com. And so I started making these videos on TikTok actually just like to promote my own startups, because I go on a lot of podcasts and I meet with a lot of people, and everyone's like, Edward, you're great at speaking, you're very engaging, you should have your own podcast, or you should have a TikTok. And I picked TikTok because I wanted to talk about, I was doing this whole like build in public thing. I'm called Build in Public on TikTok. Build in Public on Twitter is very saturated, but that's where it originated. And I thought maybe it would catch on TikTok. And I don't think it's super saturated on TikTok. And so I said, I'm gonna do that on TikTok, and I'm gonna talk about what I'm doing for my startups every day, and hopefully people will check them out and use them, and we can get attention. And then I slowly started talking about news as well. And then I went viral, and then I went viral again and again and again. And my shift, like, I don't only talk about like my startups, I talk about all sorts of different things. But it's been 6 months, and people are asking me to give them advice, and I'm making money from different things on TikTok. I'm still able to promote my startups. And it's not just TikTok, it's Instagram as well. And I finally just started getting traction on YouTube. And it's this exact model, and I do it because I enjoy talking. I enjoy making these videos. And I like to think that I am avoiding the maze.
Well, it sort of sounds like you are, because you're not letting anything stand in front of you and tell you not to do something. And that's really important, because sometimes
I don't get triggered easily. I
Okay.
like, some people get triggered really easily. I don't get triggered easily, but there is one thing that will trigger the heck out of me, and that's when someone tells me I can't do something. I get viscerally disgusted when someone says that. That is the worst thing that someone can say to me. And yeah.
Well, it reminds me of a time a little over 40 years ago when I met my husband. He was in the photo industry, and he had a big photo show coming up the weekend after we met. And he said, "Would you like to meet me in Philadelphia? I'm sorry, in Pittsburgh. We're doing it."
Yeah.
And I said, "I don't know anything other than to point and shoot a camera." He goes, "Don't worry about it. This is dark room." I said, "I know nothing about dark room." He said, "I'll teach you one thing." Okay, so we get there, and there's this little plastic card he shows me, all the different colors of the rainbow. And he said, "This is for somebody who doesn't have an actual color analyzer." He said, "I'm going to show you how this works." He showed me. I just kept repeating that over and over and over again. On Monday, he went to one of his Pittsburgh dealers, and the Pittsburgh dealer ordered 1,000 of these. And he said, "I normally sell like maybe 5. No," he said, "I need 1,000. People are banging down the door. They saw it at the photo show, and this is what they want." And so he was my boyfriend at the time, and he calls me and he goes, "I have another show coming up in a month. You just made me a superstar."
Hmm.
And I said, but there was nothing to it. He said, "Well, I'm going to teach you one more thing." And that's what he continued to do. And prior to meeting him, my MO was, "Oh, I'll never be able to do that. Oh, I don't understand that." And he would say, "Yeah, you do. And I'll show you how you do." And within a year or two, I looked at life differently. It never was about, I can't. Oh, I'll look at it. I'll try. I'll learn. And that's what life is really about, learning and learning from our mistakes. So let me take
Right,
you.
I want to ask about the story.
Sure.
So your boyfriend at the time, he asked you to take photos.
No, I didn't have to take photos. So what this was it was called a subtractive color calculator. And in the dark room, you would put it over the negative
Yeah.
and then determine which colors you wanted to bring out.
Mm.
That's all I knew about it then. That's all I know about it today, because I never worked in a dark room.
Okay.
But the next time he showed me another gadget, and so at his
And
shows,
so then someone told him that he needed 1,000 of what?
the photo dealer purchased 1,000 because he had customers coming and asking for it.
He purchased 1,000 of what?
Of the calculator, the little
I,
color
and
calculator.
And he made the calculator.
No. It came from another company that he repped.
But that benefited, oh, that it benefited him because he was representing them.
Right. Yep.
And so people wanted it because you did such a good job using it.
Yeah, which I thought was sort of silly, but hey, look what I did. And that
Yeah.
was my stepping stone of saying, you know what? I can do things. I'm not just a female. I'm, you know, not just somebody who has a 9 to 5 job in the insurance industry. Okay. When my time is off, what are some of the things I can do? Now, photography at the time was not my thing, but I started looking outside the box, which I had never done. Never did it in school, didn't do it
Wow.
in college either.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about when you were still in school, maybe elementary school, uh, junior high. Who did you think you were going to grow up to be?
I want to jump in first and say I think it's really cool that your boyfriend, now husband at the time, showed you that you could do stuff that you didn't think that you could do.
Yep.
And I've had in the last I guess like year, I had like two really amazing relationships with women that I'm still very close with, and they're incredible people. And it just I keep moving around from city to city, which I wish I didn't have to do. And so it's hard to really create something long standing, and hopefully I can see them again. And these women they're incredible, and they're like some of the most sought after females on the planet. And I think the reason they like a bearded nerd like me is because when I met them and when I talked to them, I would keep telling them like, you can do this, you can do that, you can do anything. And I genuinely believe that about people. And I think the story that you just shared with me is really cool. Um, and that's something that I try to do with everyone, but I really was doing it with them. And that's very interesting that you shared that. So you asked me,
So when you were a young child, either
yeah,
elementary, middle school, did you know this is who you were going to turn out to be, or did you have another idea, like maybe being a fireman?
um, yeah, I thought it'd be when I was in elementary school, I wanted to be either an architect or a lawyer. And the reason for that is because my mom was an architect and my dad was a lawyer.
Okay.
And yeah, and when I was in middle school, I started getting really nerdy, and I didn't really have any friends. And I would spend middle school and high school, especially, I would just kind of spend lunch breaks on my computer. And and this was back before people even really had computers in school. I went to a very special school in New York City where everyone had a computer because the staff recognized, oh, computers are the future. Our kids should learn how to use
Sure.
technology. And so I preferred being on the internet during my lunch breaks rather than being with other people. I had no, I wish I did, but my parents didn't really want me to think about this stuff when I was um, in high school. They wanted me to think about college, but I wish I was thinking about like career, like what I would do after. And I had no idea. And funny enough, I always liked making videos, and so my parents just said you should go to film school because you like making videos. I don't actually think film school helped me become big on social media, um, but maybe it helped in some ways, but it would have been a way more efficient use of my time if I spent that time like trying to do a business and promote that business and learning different ways to promote it, and took the tuition money and used that for business. That would have been a way better use of my time than going to film school. But um, but it is cool that like, yeah, when I was in high school, I enjoyed making videos, and now I find myself making a lot of videos every day.
Sure.
I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning out here in Poland. When I'm in New York, I might start waking up at 5, I'm not sure. And what I did this morning is I went to a park near my apartment. It's basically like the Central Park of Warsaw that I live next to. And I realized I had this thought that videos of mine that have like cool backgrounds and cool scenery, I think they might do better. Like it might be like an easy hack to make a video really do better. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go record one video. And what usually happens is once I make one video, just like record it, I find that I can talk about anything and I'm ready to, I come up with all these ideas for more. And so I went with plans to only record one video. I ended up recording 7 all around the park this morning, literally at like from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. I was in Warsaw Central Park recording videos. And I put up 2 of them, and then I made another one off a different thing that I recorded at home, and now I have like 5 videos left to edit and put up after this, which I'm really excited about. And so it's kind of cool that I am doing what I was doing when I was in high school, and it just took me, and I was doing that when I graduated from college, I was making these viral videos on YouTube, and I didn't realize that like to stick with it because you are like guaranteed successful. I preach this so much that you are like guaranteed successful. You just stick with something. But anyway, yeah. Elementary school, thought I'd be an architect or a lawyer. I'd make a horrible lawyer. I might make an okay architect. Middle school, I just wanted to fit in. And I was doing a bad job of that. And then high school, I said, all right, I'm not going to fit in, and I'm just my computer is going to be my best friend. Yeah.
Well, and what I love hearing is that many of us growing up with parents who either had specific degrees or never got their degrees but wanted to see their children move ahead. Okay. They sort of made plans for us. It was like, we're going to send you to college and you're going to get that degree and you're going to work in that field. And the interesting part is, out of the 3 of us, I have 2 older brothers. My older brother wanted to be in education. He got into education. And even at 80 years old, he educates people on how to play the game of Scrabble, on knowing words and understanding words. It's incredible. My other brother did go to school to become an architect and didn't finish his last semester. So after 5 years of schooling, he quit and got into the music industry, and he's been there ever since.
Cool.
I was more of the good child, trying to listen to what my parents said and trying to get a career that they would be somewhat accepting with. But I wasn't doing what I wanted to until 2013.
Wow.
And that's when I just came home one day telling my husband, I've got to find something else to do. I cannot handle being in the corporate world. I don't like the culture. I like the job, but not the culture. He said, what is it you want to do? And I said, I need to do something in communications. Now, the first thought he had was, you think you're going to go be on ABC or NBC? And I said, no, I'm going to do something from home. And him being from the IT field, he got me the equipment that I wanted, and I just started it. Really not even knowing what I was doing, but I just started it, and I've evolved since then.
Why did you start?
I actually started in 2013.
No. What did you start? What did you start?
I started my own independent networking group, and we were doing podcasting from it. So
you're telling me that you've been podcasting since 2013.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's evolved to such a point.
You're an OG.
Yeah.
You are an OG podcaster.
But I will tell you, in the beginning, I only knew how to use the software very specifically. We were doing it phone to phone. It was really archaic, but it worked. Back in the day, I didn't think about saving those recordings. I put them up on Facebook. That was it. I didn't even know how to use media correctly, and I'm still learning.
So when did you start? Do you have like a consistent audience?
I on Avoid the Maze we do, and then on our other shows we do as well. So like one show we do is called What in the World with Paul Seaburn. Paul has been a comedy writer, and right now, in addition to his podcast, he is the lead writer for a website called Mysterious Universe. And we have anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 listening on the day of record. So like yesterday
cool.
afternoon when we recorded it. And then from there, it just, depending on what the subject matter is, and it's always real news, but very strange.
And do people come back and listen after?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So when that's why I say you need to stick with something, because it sounds like in your first years you were kind of just feeling around.
Yep.
And you probably made incremental progress year after year to a point where now you're on a very good trajectory, would be my guess.
I
If you're
believe
not
so,
there
yes.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the same, I think it's like the same. I'll tell you something interesting. So I put up 1 to 8 videos a day on TikTok every day. When I started, I said, I'm committing to 1 a day. I know how important consistency is. I'm committing to 1 a day, but I find myself having fun. So sometimes I put up 8. It takes me 15 to 25 minutes to make a video, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. I've had videos that took me under 1 minute to make, get 4 million views. Like I made a video where I thought I saw Gary Vaynerchuk in a cafe in Poland. And it literally took me 15 seconds to make, and that got 4 million views. Then I had another video, it took me 35 minutes to make, and that also got 4.5 million views. But so on day 85, I think I had 1,500 followers on TikTok.
Wow.
And by day, I guess it was 89, almost 90, I had 7,000 followers. So in 4 days, I don't know what's 7,000 divided by, I more than 4x'd my followers in 4 days. And on day 85, I realized how important it is to have a hook in my videos, as in like something that makes people want to keep watching. And I put an effort to do that, and then I started going viral very consistently. And if you look at my growth, it's very much like just a straight, almost a straight line, kind of trending upwards. And then on day, I guess 85, it's like a fighter jet, you know, when they go out into the skies.
Right.
And that's happening with YouTube now. YouTube has been crazy difficult. YouTube really wants to see consistency. And I had basically no followers until the last 30 days. And in the last 30 days, I started the YouTube at the beginning of November last year. And I basically I think I had like 15 followers at the beginning of this month. And now I have 120. And I'll probably have 130 or 140 tomorrow. And I'm doing the fighter jet on YouTube. 2 days ago, I put out a video on Instagram. It got 125,000 views. And that got me, I had like 850 followers at that point on Instagram. And now I have almost 1,300. And it's a consistency. And your story is it sounds like you're killing it. Sounds like you're killing it in the podcast game.
You know, I enjoy what I'm doing. And so a lot of times I don't even look at the stats unless somebody particularly wants to know something. Even my podcasters that work with me, they just want to get the word out. And when they get the word out, they know they're getting people who are listening because they're getting emails. Okay, either asking for more information. I have a woman who does a podcast that's called Heart Mojo. And it really started out about her journey and her success having cancer. And she got cancer during a divorce, taking care of her sons. And she's a true survivor. And when I met her and I heard her story, I just said to her, you need to do a podcast because people have to hear the struggles you went through and how you got to be where you are today. And then we started finding other people that had the cancer journey. And then we went away from, not necessarily totally away from the cancer journey, but hers is about any kind of medical journey that you could be on. And it's so important to talk about because, you know, we don't know what to say to somebody who has cancer. We don't know what to say to somebody who's waiting for a diagnosis. And when you see that we're all human and we're all going to make that same mistake the first time, we're going to say the wrong thing, you know, we have to then go out and learn what are the right words? What do we offer somebody? And when my podcasters come back to me and they say, hey, this past month, I didn't really have time to prepare for tonight's show because of, and they'll list everything. And yet they know how to flow with their guest. And it's so rewarding to me because, you know, I look at all of my podcasters as an extension of what I'm trying to do.
That's incredible that you've started a successful podcast network.
Yeah.
That inspires thousands of people.
You know, and I will say that now one of my podcasters, including myself, we aren't out there for somebody to say, you inspired me. What we're out there for is somebody to say, I see how you did it. I may not be able to do exactly what you did to get through your depression, but I know that I have to work through mine. And that is wonderful to me because I will tell you right before I started all this, I went through a very, very deep depression. I looked at my husband one day and I said, I like you, but I don't know if I love you.
Wow.
And I said that to my youngest son, which
Wow.
now I go back and I cringe, but I know what it was all about. I didn't like me. I didn't love me. And when I figured it out and went for treatment, I was able to sit them down and both of them were smart enough to say, we know exactly what you were doing. And they
You have
gave me
amazing people. You have
yeah.
amazing people in your life.
Yep. So
Do you do meditation?
not in a not the way most people do. Okay. My meditation really is you know, just to take a break from everything and I'm just staring outside at because I live in the middle of the national park here in Ohio. So,
Wow,
yeah.
cool.
So yeah, it's
Wow.
yeah, it's wonderful.
Wow.
And so I just stare outside and I see nature. And
Yeah,
I didn't see it before.
I bet.
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm one of the happiest people that I know. But in my early 20s, I was obsessed with bodybuilding. I'm a very thin guy, but I was a lot bigger then. And I was working out so hard and forcing myself to eat so many calories that I messed up my hormones and I had this like terrible hormone imbalance. And I got it didn't last very long. It was only a couple of days, and I'm very fortunate. But I was very, very depressed for 3 days. And I remember this experience. This was well over a decade ago now, where I looked out the window and my backyard in Brooklyn is very green and beautiful. And the sun always hits it in these special ways and lights up the colors. And it was one of those days where it was sunny and the roof would have been all red and the trees were all bright, vivid green. But all I saw was gray. I just only saw gray. And so again, I was super happy and very lucky. But I remember that experience. And then I actually stopped. I work out now, but for my health rather than to like look a certain way. And I completely changed my approach at that time.
Well, and again, that's part of avoiding the maze, because for so many years, the reason I didn't appreciate what was outside, I was trying to be like what I thought everybody else was. And so, and what I mean by that, well, I really can't go outside because I'm a workaholic, so I got to stay inside and work. My husband still laughs at me a little bit about that because I love what I'm doing. So sometimes it's hard to take me out of my studio. But when I am outside, when I make that choice that that's what I want to do, or I want to go somewhere, I can put work on hold. And I've just rearranged my schedule in the past couple weeks because I'm going to start coaching. Actually, I have 2 clients already. And
Congratulations.
thank you. Because again, it's all about helping each other. I know my clients are going to help me as much as I'm going to help them. And I just want to make this a better world, even in a small sense, before I leave it. So tell me, I love reading this. You say you are you're into you are a self-improvement fanatic. You do cold showers and you meditate.
Yeah.
So you're constantly trying to improve yourself, right?
I am. I have a very long morning ritual, and I keep adding things to it when I probably shouldn't. Like, I listened to this guy, Andrew Huberman, and he has a very popular podcast. In fact, it might be like it might be the most popular one right now. And he went on a guest on another one of my favorite podcasts called My First Million. He was there as a guest. And one of the hosts asked him, like, if you could recommend one thing that anybody has to do, what would it be? Like the thing that would give you the 80% jump, like the most important thing. And he said, you need to get real sunlight into your eyes in the morning, not through a window, but like real sun, not with sunglasses. You need to get them in your eyes. And so now I added other ritual, which is I go outside first thing in the morning. And so I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning, and I go outside. And then I do 2 types of meditation. I do this guided Wim Hof breathing method. Wim Hof, he's this like Norwegian Iceman. He recommends cold exposure and a certain breathing method. Like Justin Bieber is obsessed with this. Justin Bieber went on the Ellen DeGeneres show to talk about how this has changed his life. And Ellen was like, this has changed my life too. And it has changed my life as well, because he teaches you how to breathe into your belly instead of into your chest. And everyone breathes into their chest. Everybody breathes wrong, and that causes so many ailments in people. And people carry a lot more stress. Like breathing into your belly alleviates stress like tremendously, and it fixes a lot of things in the body that's wrong, like digestion and headaches. And anxiety is very good for dealing with anxiety as well. And so he gives that away for free too. If you search on YouTube Wim Hof breathing, you'll find a video with I think almost 50 million views, and it's just guided. It's 11 minutes long, and it's a guided breathing exercise that he does. And it takes some time because it requires holding your breath for there's 2 points in the video where you have to hold your breath for 90 seconds. And when I first tried, what he does is he teaches you how to like get oxygen into your body, and you actually find that you can hold your breath for a lot longer than you think. So it's kind of cool. I started this exercise. I was living in Kiev in Ukraine at the time, This was 3 years ago during COVID. And a friend of mine had done his course, and he's like, you got to try this. And I try crazy things. So I said, okay. And I couldn't even hold my breath for a minute. The way that it works is you have like 3 basically controlled hyperventilating sessions. They're guided on your headphones. And the first session requires you, after the hyperventilation, you hold your breath for 90 seconds. And then the next one the first one is 60 seconds. The next one is 90 seconds. The third one is 90 seconds as well. And I couldn't do it for even 60 seconds. I couldn't hold my breath for a minute. And now I'm doing a more advanced one 3 times a week where I hold my breath for 3 minutes.
Wow.
3 minutes. I did that this morning. I'm able to hold my breath for 3 minutes. And when I tried the advanced one, I couldn't even do 2 minutes. And now I can do it no problem. And it's because I learned how to literally relax all of the muscles in my body. People don't realize how much tension they carry in their muscles. Most people, they have their tongues stuck to the top of their mouths, and that's tension right there. Most people, their groins are tight, and their muscles are just clenched, and that's tension that uses up a lot of excess energy. And when you have to hold your breath for 3 minutes or 90 seconds or whatever it is, it's difficult for you. You learn to control the muscles in your body to reduce the amount of energy that you are spending on unnecessary things. And then when you're walking around or when something bad happens, you can deal with that more efficiently because you're better able to control your stress. So I do that. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm such a proponent of this. And Wim Hof, if you like watch his videos, he has a very crazy story. His wife committed suicide when he was like 20 years ago, and him and her had like 3 young babies, and she killed herself. And this guy, he was a mailman, and he had to raise like 3 kids as a mailman in Norway. And one day he was so stressed, and he walked by this frozen stream, and he just wanted, I guess, to feel extreme sensations. And he cut a hole in the stream and dunked his body into the cold water, and felt better and got obsessed with it. And over time, like, he climbs the mountains in his underwear. And scientists study his body. Like, scientists injected his body with E. coli in literally a laboratory. They injected his body with E. coli, and he was able to not get sick with the power of his mind. And this is measured in a scientific study. And and he's just a beautiful human. If you listen to this 11-minute breathing exercise, like, you can even tell, just like, this guy really wants the best for people.
Well, I'm going to put that information in the show notes because I think it's really important. So if you wanted to give somebody your best advice about living their best life, what would it be?
Well, at first, I'll give 2. I think number 1 is actually, it's to meditate. I think everybody should meditate. The world would be such a better place if people meditated. And I want to, if I have the time, I want to share like how I started meditating, because I think it's interesting. I learned about meditation when I was going through this bodybuilding phase, and I read on a bodybuilding forum that meditation improves everything in your body. So it improves your gains in the gym. It makes it so you gain muscle faster and better, and you're stronger. And it improves everything else. And so I'm like, well, I guess I have to try that. If it's like this, like almost this panacea, this cure-all, like, it's not really a cure-all, but if it's really that good for you, it's like, of course I got to try it. And so I was 21, and I lit a candle in my apartment, and I said, okay, I put this candle in front of me. I said, okay, I'm going to stare at this candle for just 5 minutes. Like, just sit here and look at the candle for 5 minutes. So it's okay if I blink. It's okay if I have thoughts, but I'm just going to sit here and look at the candle in silence for 5 minutes, not look at my phone, not look at my computer. 5 minutes, that's it. And so I set a 5-minute timer on my phone, and I put my phone under my chair, and I sat there. And then it had been like, I said I was going to do 5 minutes, but it had been like 15 minutes. And I'm like, oh, I could swear I said it for 5 minutes, but feels like it's been 15 minutes. And it can't be right, because I know I said it for 5 minutes, but it feels like it's been 15. Okay, I'm going to give it 5 more minutes. And so I'm like, okay, it's been like, it has to have been like 20 minutes now. Something's wrong with my phone. I know I said it for 5 minutes, but something's wrong with my phone. It's been like 20 minutes. And I know I said I wasn't going to look at my phone, but it's been like 20 minutes and I said it for 5, so something's wrong with my phone. So I picked up my phone and I looked at it. And it hadn't been 20 minutes, it had been 3 minutes. 1, 2, 3 minutes. And I realized that something wasn't wrong with my phone, something was wrong with me. And I couldn't sit in a chair in silence and stare at a candle for 5 minutes without looking at my phone. I had too much anxiety. And so I said, I'm gonna get better at this. And so what I do now is, and I did it very slowly, it was a slow process, adding 30 seconds over the course of like maybe like every week I'll add 30 seconds or a minute or whatever I'm comfortable with. And now, in addition to the breathing exercise that I talk about, I just stare straight ahead for 20 minutes every morning. If I don't do it in the mornings, I'll find a way to do it in the evening. I had this crazy experience when I was in my early 20s and I was going super viral. And all the TV shows wanted to have me and my friend on. We had been on Good Morning America, on the Today Show, on 2020. And we were being flown out by NBC to be on the Jeff Probst show, the host of Survivor. He had a daytime talk show. Right. And we were, and I guess it was either NBC or CBS. It was one of the big three, maybe even ABC, I don't know. But we were being flown out to LA to be on this guy's talk show. And I hadn't had time for my meditation. So I sat there on the jet and my friends were teasing me because I'm like, I have to do this. I just have to do my meditation. And I sat there on the jet for 20 minutes and I meditated. And then the next day, it was my first time in LA, I think, or maybe, yeah, first or second. And the next day I sat on Hollywood Boulevard in the sun and I stared at a palm tree with like thousands of people walking by. And I was like, I got to do this. And I always get it in. Yeah, I think the world would be a better place if people meditated. So how, I think you asked me, how can people like get started?
Right.
Yeah. And I would recommend, like, even before you do the content thing that I talked about, you could read the Content Inc. book. It's a great book, and try that content thing. But it's also really hard to do something entrepreneurial if you don't know how to deal with stress and anxiety. Especially if you have demands coming from like your family and from work, and you're trying to do this on the side. And so meditation is like, it takes 20 minutes a day. And everyone can find 20 minutes a day for it. And it makes the biggest impact on your life. I'm so happy all the time. It's kind of annoying, probably for like a lot of people, but I attribute that largely to meditation.
Well, and I loved what you said when you started with the meditation. You said, it's okay if thoughts come into my head. It's okay if I blink, because many of us think meditation means you're going to be totally still and you're going to shut your mind off. But what I find when I sit in my studio and it's a gray day, now you said you need to see sunlight. What my husband said to me when I was going through my depression, and it was midwinter and we were having a really bad winter that year, I said, there's no sunlight. Sunlight is what I need. And he goes, look up at that cloud again. Do you know what's on the other side of that cloud? Mm-hmm. He said, the sun is there. He said, so the sun is hiding from you. Keep looking. I bet you'll see it. The first day I did not. The second day, and I actually started sweating midwinter, because more I looked, the more I could see that sun. I knew the sun would be warm on my body. I knew because I was trying so hard to see it. And so I didn't even question the fact afterwards that I was sweating from it. There was a good reason. And I do this regularly now. I was taking care of my son down in Texas. He had emergency surgery. And the first 3 or 4 days, even though it was warm, it was very gray and very windy. And so I sat at his big picture window and I looked out. I don't really remember what I saw, but for about 5 to 10 minutes every day. That was my meditation. Now, typically that's not what I call it, but listening to you, that's exactly what I'm doing.
That's what it
I
is.
just never put a title to it.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So in the show notes, what information do you want me to provide our listeners to if they want to reach out to you, know more?
I'd love that. You can go to edwardsturm.com, and I have you can get in touch with me there. It's very easy. I make it very easy. I like talking to people, and I like learning from people and hearing their stories. So yeah, edwardsturm.com. Or actually, I really like Instagram as a channel. I share a
Okay.
lot of photos from my travels, and all of my videos, like I said, they come out from TikTok to Instagram as well. And so on Instagram, you can search Edward Sturm, or my handle is edward.builds, builds as in building a house,
Okay.
edward.builds on Instagram. And my YouTube is Build in Public. But yeah, I love talking to people. I hope people will reach out, because it means a lot for me to hear that my stories are helping people and people are getting stuff out of it.
Well,
So yeah.
we love the stories too. And for our listeners, getting your story out there can be very rewarding for yourself and for the people who are listening to it. So, please don't hesitate. Don't keep in the good stuff. And even if some of the bad stuff comes out, that's okay. You have a chance to change that. And Edward, you were a delight today. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to have you back in the future.
I hope so. This was great.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.